Tutorial number 17, Trigger Operation and Configuration. Hello, and welcome to the pco.camware video tutorials. Today we introduce all options to trigger your camera. By default, the trigger mode is set to auto sequence. In this mode, the best possible frame rate is set automatically depending upon your exposure, delay, and image size. The camera acquires images immediately as soon as you start to record. You can change the trigger mode in the camera properties to soft trigger, external exposure start, or external exposure control. Enabling soft trigger mode, single images can be taken by clicking on the arrow symbol in the Recorder Tools section after starting the record. External signals have no influence on this operating mode. When selecting External Exposure Start, a single image is acquired with every falling or rising edge of the trigger signal which is connected to the camera. Enable the Camera Properties Expert mode and check the Hardware I/O configuration. Exposure control must be on. Choose the signal polarity depending on whether you want to record with a rising or a falling edge of your trigger signal. Please be aware that the frame rate cannot be faster than in auto sequence. In the external exposure control mode, an external signal applied at the input connector not only controls the start of the exposure, but also the duration. A falling or raising edge of the voltage signal starts a new exposure. If the voltage level drops or rises to the opposite level, the exposure stops. Please be aware that the integration will be stopped automatically if the maximum exposure time of your camera is achieved. Most PCO cameras do have an additional input called Acquire Enable. It can be used to realize additional control or security circuits. You can activate the Acquire Enable signal within the Hardware I/O control settings. If the polarity of the external signal is set to high, the camera will only acquire images when your external signal provides a high voltage level. This can be considered as Boolean AND operation. This also works with a low voltage level if you change the polarity. Often, also in the live preview, an external synchronization of the camera to an external signal is needed. If Preview with External Signals is set to Yes in the Recorder Tools, the various trigger configurations can be enabled during preview. pco.camware provides a special feature for the operation with high-speed cameras, the sequence trigger mode. Please consider to set the following parameters when you want to use it. Select Ring Buffer and your preferred cam RAM segment. The Acquire mode must be set to Auto. Your external trigger signal needs to be connected to the Acquire Enable input. Set the trigger mode to Software Event to trigger it by hand, or external or software event to use an external signal. Define the number of delay images. Start recording. The recording can now be stopped by an external signal or a software event at a time point T0. The relative position of the T0 trigger within the recorded sequence depends on the size of the cam RAM segment and the selected delay images. Once the stop signal is recognized, an internal image counter starts. It counts all acquired images and stops the recording when the predefined number of delayed images is reached. Image T0 is framed in green in your thumbnails. Here's another expert tip for users with a rolling shutter camera. If you want to simulate a global shutter image, you have the possibility to trigger your light source with the camera. Your light source must be connected to the status exposure output of your camera. The exposure time must be set to longer than the frame readout time, and the environment of your experiment must be dark. Select Show Common Time of all lines and start recording. Each time, all lines are active. The light flashes and the light pulse defines the exposure time. Now you are well informed on the available trigger modes and their configuration. Thanks for watching.